it's me, and today I'm talking about the Iron Face series by Kagawa. I'm doing a series discussion like always. I will be talking about the Iron Face series. I will start with a quick synopsis, then I'll give you my ranking of the books, and then individual reviews to explain that ranking, and lastly I will go over like my overall thoughts about the series. These are the Dutch editions of the books, which means they're in bind-ups, so that's why they are so big. They are shorter books, but these are large. And then this is a novella collection, which I'll also talk about quickly at the end of the individual reviews. The Iron Face series follows Megan, and at the beginning of the first novel, her little brother is kidnapped by the Fae and kind of like exchanged for like a changeling. That happens on her 16th birthday, and basically she also finds out that she is actually Hell Fae, that her father is actually the king of the Summer Court, and her best friend is a Fae sent out by her father to, look out for her, make sure she doesn't discover the Fae world. And yeah, basically she forces her best friend to take her into the fairy realm, even though her father never wanted that to happen. So she is able to save her little brother. And then a whole lot of things happen. And because these are bind-up, I'm gonna give my ranking like a little thing to the side because I can't organize these. But my least favorite of the series is the Iron Queen, and then we have the Iron Knight, the Iron King, and my favorite is the Iron Daughter. So yeah, let's just go into individual reviews so I can explain to you what I thought of them. The Iron King, I give it 25 stars. I thought it was a great introduction into the world, but it felt very like surface level still, and kind of basic. Like, this was published in 2010, I believe, so I mean the storylines feel very basic, especially to what I'm used to now, and I don't know if that's just because it's a product of its time or because it was already basic back then, you know what I mean? But I did think the world was very interesting, because this basically how it works is that the whole fairy world is kind of based off of like human memory and human dreams, and when people forget about a certain Fae, like they start to disappear, and I thought that was so interesting, and I felt like this book just didn't really do that much with it, at least what I wanted, but it had a lot of potential for the rest of the series, so I was excited. I already thought that Megan was a bit annoying, which you're gonna see that annoyance grow throughout these next couple of books. And there was kind of a love triangle in here, but I don't like it because when there's love triangle where it's like it's not really a love triangle, you know what I mean? It's like there's a clear like romance storyline going on here, and then just like someone else also has a question the main character, like that's it. There's never like reciprocated feelings in that side. I'm already not a big fan of love triangles, but especially if they're like done like that, I hate them. They never really did much with it, so it also felt a bit unnecessary. This had very bad insta love. And I already started with the sequel series, and that's also heavy lit, so I think that's just Kagawa writing thing. Then moving on to the Iron Daughter, which again is the same book. These are by Lips. Give 2 out of 5 stars. Like I said before, is my favorite of the series. I feel like this book was very addictive, and I just absolutely flew through it, and I got so excited about the rest of the series that I just like bought all of it. Like, after reading this book, I bought the second bind-up, and I bought the box set for the sequel series, because that's how obsessed I was with book 2. Even though like I still had my problems with it, the middle section in my opinion was a bit boring, and just like not really a lot was happening during that middle section, and I wish just kind of it was a little bit more fast paced. But I did have a great time reading the book, and just was fun. It was entertaining, but it was like nothing really special. It did expand on the world a bit, and I really like that, because like I said, I really think this world is so interesting, and I really fell in love with like the side characters in this book, which are the same throughout like the entire series, but in this one I really started to like appreciate them and just enjoyed reading about them. Next up, we have the Iron Queen, which is my least favorite, even though technically the Iron Knight objectively is the worst book, but I hated this one so much. Well, I didn't hate it, I still give it 2 out of 5 stars. There's still some aspects to it that I can appreciate, but this is like the peak of my hate for Megan, because oh my god, she was so dumb in this book, and she had a superiority complex, which was absolutely like not necessary at all because she couldn't do shit, and it was so frustrating to read about. I feel like every side character except one just kind of backed her up. It's like, yeah, you are the shit, and I'm like, no, you are shit, not the shit. I'm sorry, that's a bit mean, but it's a fictional character, so I can say whatever I want. Doesn't hurt anyone's feelings. And kind of the only character that I actually felt was like reasonable is a cat, which is a little insult because this character is fantastic. It's my favorite character in this world so far. But I mean, you couldn't have like a human act reasonable, like that's too much to ask. Also, just like the plot I didn't care for, even though I feel like it could have been like an epic moment, but I feel like because I just was so disconnected from the characters at this point that I just like didn't really care for the plot. Like the beginning is very slow and uneventful, and then the ending is like your typical like final battle kind of thing, and I feel like I already had like a slog to get through at the beginning that the ending just didn't really feel that satisfying, or like I was that engaged into it, but it was exciting a little bit, and I feel like I liked what was done. I feel like it's not your typical approach in the YA fantasy, especially from back then, so I can appreciate that, you know. And then lastly, the Iron Knight, which I also gave 2 out of 5 stars, and I was super excited for the Iron Knight because finally we were not gonna follow Megan anymore, and I was excited. And then I didn't like this book. Like I said, this quality wise probably is worse than the Iron Queen. I just enjoyed this a little bit more, just like a little bit, not really that, at least substantial more, but this was just a little bit disappointing, and I felt like that wasn't a real point to the Iron Knight. I feel like this could have been a great like B plot in a book, but not the main plot or like the only perspective. I feel like because we had a huge cast of characters in this one, and we got some new characters as well. I feel like it could have also been interesting if we just had more perspectives than just Ash, but just it felt very monotone and just like not a whole lot happened. Ash just felt like a whiny edgelord type character, which I didn't enjoy at all, which I kind of hate because I did really enjoy Ash in the previous books. And yeah, except for the plot was a bit bland and not a whole lot happened. It was mainly like a traveling storyline, and like I said, not a whole lot happened, so I feel like it could have been more interesting again if it was a B plot, do something going on with like Megan, or if it just would have been like more perspective, so at least you have some refreshments every so often. I don't know if that makes sense, but like switches a bit and it's not very monotone. And there was also a lot of flashbacks in this book, which not all were necessary. I feel like flashbacks can be great. I love a good flashback, but I just felt like they were overdone in this book and often just didn't serve a purpose, so I also just had a problem with that, I guess. And it felt very different from the first 3 books, and I don't know if that's just because it followed a different character or what, but I don't know, it didn't feel like it was a part of the same series, even though like it is. Let me just also give you a rundown on the Iron Legends. The Iron Legends is a bind-up of 3 novellas that take place in this world. We have Winter's Passage, which takes place after the 1st book, I believe. Yes. Then Summer's Crossing, which takes place after the 3rd book, and Iron's Prophecy, which takes place after the 4th book. And I think these are all right, but they aren't necessary to read. I will give this a 2 out of 5 stars, but I felt like the first story was a little bit boring and not a whole lot happened in it, and it didn't really, again, I feel like these aren't necessary, so they aren't going to serve a purpose. Then the second one, I really enjoyed. The second one is in Puck's perspective, and I felt like his personality is just like shown through the narrative, and I just really enjoyed that. It was a fun adventure, even though like there was no real point to it either. And then the third one is, I mean, it is meant to like make you excited for the sequel series, but I don't think enough was revealed in there to actually make me excited for the sequel series. So those are my thoughts, but I did think it was like a fun last adventure with our main characters. And then at the end there was a like world guide, the original survivor guide to the Never Never, and that's a fun read but also very repetitive because it's like nothing new in there, so I just kind of skimmed it. Those are my thoughts on this, and I don't know, if you love the series, I think this might be a fun thing to check out, but it definitely isn't necessary to the rest of the series. And my overall thoughts on this series. Like I said before, I really love the world, and I kind of, the thing I dislike the most about like the series overall is that we spend a lot of time in the human realm rather than like the fairy realm, and I would have loved to spend so much more time in the fairy realm because I think it's so interesting. That was like the best thing about these novellas, is that they took like almost completely took place in the fairy realm, so I got more of that. But for the rest, I felt like we spent most of the time in the human realm. I don't know, I wasn't the biggest fan of that. Then I think the side characters are very engaging, except in book 3 I felt like they kind of fell off the wagon there, but like for the rest I felt like they were very engaging, and I really enjoyed reading about them much more than learning about Megan because I didn't like her. But I do have to say that in the 4th book we get like a little part with her, and I really felt like she is growing a lot, and even in this last novella, like she's very different from in the beginning of the book. Like even book 3, she has changed a lot with this new responsibility she has taken on. The romance was kind of so-so for me. Like I feel like I was a little bit engaged in it, but also I didn't really care that much because I do feel like it was kind of like a typical YA fantasy romance, so it was a bit predictable about how it was gonna go, but it was fine. I guess they had some nice moments, but I wasn't like that engaged into it. The storylines were very basic. Like I said, I do think the way that the 3rd book was wrapped up was a bit different from like the YA I've read that is from the same time period, but it's very basic, and I felt like there could have been a lot more going on. But I like, again, these books are written in 2010, 2011, so it's very different from the YA I'm used to, so it could be just product of its time. But yeah, but they are super quick reads. Like I absolutely fly through these books. Even the ones I didn't really like, I just flew through them, and they are addictive. I do have to say that. And I'm really excited for the spin-off series, which is dumb to say because I already finished the first book, but I did get really excited for that. And yeah, the spin-off series is only 3 books, and like I said, I have already read the first one, so I only have to read 2 more, so maybe that video will also be coming soon. But those are my thoughts on the Iron Fist series with Julie Kagawa. I'll hold them up one more time. Wait a minute. Yeah, those are my thoughts on the Iron Fist series with Julie Kagawa. I really want to read more Julie Kagawa though, because I think this is one of her first series, if I'm correct. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe so. So I'm excited to check out more of her stuff and see how she's grown as like an author, and just explore more things. I have the first book in the Talent series, I believe it's called, the one with the dragons, and I really want to read her latest series as well, and a vampire series. So I'm excited for everything. So let me know in the comments below what you thought of this series. If you've read it, you can discuss spoilers. Just leave like a spoiler warning at the top of your comments so people who haven't read the series yet know not to read your comments. But also let me know in the comment section below if you've read more of Julie Kagawa's works, which series you recommend me going to next. I'm definitely finishing off the second Iron Fist series first, but then I'm kind of excited to see where you think I should go next, because I'm really excited to check out more of her works. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys next time. Good.